Because I am not a lawyer, my background is in engineering and operations. I, to be totally transparent, was a little jaded or had an opinion of personal injury attorneys. And what I have found is that clients and bringing litigation against institutions is a brave act. It is not greedy. It is not something shady or ambulance chasing in any way. It is the only way that in the United States of America, we can hold these institutions up to safety standards. There isn't a body that checks for how an AC unit was installed or how apartment managers, what protocols they follow to keep their tenants safe. There's not a certification board that does that. So actually bringing a lawsuit is the only way to enforce safety standards across the country.
Carmen Paz is the COO and CFO of Just Well Law, a boutique contingency firm in Texas that advocates for families made sick by toxic environments, primarily mold and rental housing. Carmen isn't an attorney. She's an electrical engineer with a master's in engineering who was brought in as the firm's first business hire to run operations, finance, and technology transformation. What makes this conversation stand out is the combination of a deeply human mission with a genuinely AI-forward operational approach. The firm was founded by Christina Baer, an attorney who couldn't find a lawyer to represent her own family after their home was contaminated with mold. Now the firm bears 100% of litigation costs on contingency, connects clients with doctors who understand toxin exposure, and has had past clients become employees because they were so moved by how the firm treated them. On the tech side, Carmen's team has gone all in on Claude in the last 4 weeks, with attorneys and paralegals building their own AI agents for specific tasks. We talk about why bringing a lawsuit against a negligent landlord is a brave act that enforces safety standards no certification board is checking, and how AI is helping a small team punch far above its weight class. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI Podcast. This is Steven with Satori Coach IO, and today I'm joined by Carmen Paz of Just Well Law. Carmen, thanks for joining.
Hi, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. So please go ahead and give us a high-level overview of what you do with Just Well Law.
Okay, great. So I am the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer of Just Well Law. We are a boutique law firm that advocates for sick families against the companies and institutions that made them sick. And at the law firm, I run all of the operations, intake, the technology transformation. We are trying to be an AI first firm, and we're really just excited about our growth. From my perspective, I'm responsible for financing, lending, technology transformation, and running operations.
Fantastic. How long has the firm been in existence?
So the firm is entering its 4th year. Mm-hmm. It started with Christina Baer is our CEO and founder. And she had a situation where she was in a house that was full of mold and it made her and her family sick. And she could not find an attorney to represent her. So she was a very successful attorney practicing in federal court. And because of that personal situation that she had, she set forth to make the law firm that she could never find. And her mission and our mission is to provide legal representation for brave clients who will go up against institutions that have made them sick from some kind of a toxic environment, whether it be mold, toxic water, or other toxins.
Right. I'm sure you get people giving you Aaron Brockovich references for this.
Very much.
Yeah. I forgot to mention before we went live, but my own family had something very much along these lines that, it was years ago, but it still makes me angry to this day. So I had already been off to college, but my parents had bought a pet cleaning product that was defective, and they used it throughout the whole house. Um, but needless to say, I'm not even, I can't even remember all the particulars because again, I was hearing about it as I was away. But basically, it turned into, it was making them sick, but it was also something that they had to have professional cleaning come in. And then even then, it didn't pass the safe standards. So ultimately, what this led to is having to leave the family home and
Yes.
go and actually for it was about 18 months, if I recall, had to pay to rent another house or a condo or something, while still having to pay the mortgage on our house. And basically, it was such a large corporation that owned this particular pet company that they wound up getting almost nothing and just had to eat these costs. And like had to have like all these like everything like stripped down and repainted and multiple tiers of professional cleaning, and they had to eat all those costs simply because they couldn't afford to litigate it.
So exactly what you've described is exactly the typical scenario of our clients. So they're usually either renting a dorm room or renting an apartment, and they have to break their lease, they have to leave the home, they have to get it professionally inspected. And because these landlords and large institutions have attorneys and have systems in place, they have bad acts where they cover up or just paint over mold or do different things that really are can injure clients, especially clients that aren't even aware. Is it mildew? Is it something? The institutions kind of have a standard protocol that they follow to minimize it, and sadly, our clients continue to get sick. So, as a contingency law firm, we bear 100% of the costs. We put our clients in touch with doctors that understand toxins and just believe them. Even just believing our clients, because some of the symptoms are headaches or foggy thinking, they're nebulous, and many people won't even believe the symptoms. So we provide a safe space. We understand, we are experts nationally in mold toxicity, specifically, but we do other environmental toxins as well, and provide the list of resources for our clients to get the help that we need, 100% contingent. And we also, if they need financial assistance for the medical care, which could add up and be very expensive, we also put them in touch with lending institutions that are specifically for that purpose.
Fantastic. So I always ask in one way, shape, or form, for potential clientele or potential client that is in a situation like this, what would you want them to understand about the work you do, and what proactive advice would you give them?
Because I'm not a lawyer, my background is in engineering and operations. I, to be totally transparent, was a little jaded or had an opinion of personal injury attorneys. And what I have found is that clients and bringing litigation against institutions is a brave act. It is not greedy. It is not something shady or ambulance chasing in any way. It is the only way that in the United States of America we can hold these institutions up to safety standards. There isn't a body that checks for how an AC unit was installed or how apartment managers, what protocols they follow to keep their tenants safe. There's not a certification board that does that. So actually bringing a lawsuit is the only way to enforce safety standards across the country. And so what I would love our clients to understand is that it is a brave act to bring that lawsuit. And it is difficult. And yes, they may have to go through hardships, but it is important that they do it, because what we're seeing is once we win the lawsuit, which we have been very, very effective in bringing and winning lawsuits against large landlords. They change their policies, and it is bringing about change so that the next tenants have a safe place to live and their children don't get sick.
Right, absolutely. It's interesting you brought that up. I had another very principled uh, personal injury attorney too that was talking about the same thing. It was a different area, but made that exact point about like the real win here is not just for the immediate client, but when you can actually affect change for how things are done moving forward. In some cases, even being able to change, standard operating procedures for how certain things are handled in the medical industry, so on and so forth, right? So that's really powerful.
And we have been able to, in some cases, put that into the settlement clause,
Hmm.
have them change their standard operating procedures so that we make sure that families going forward aren't sickened by these practices.
Excellent. I'm going to transition over to the point you made about being an AI forward, AI first business.
Mhm.
Um, so could you tell me a little bit about, how you're seeing overall AI trending in the legal domain, and then also on a more local level, how you are using it so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I think worldwide, the legal industry is one of the industries that has adopted AI most rapidly. Uh, Proof of that is that Claude just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, released Claude Legal. So they were having so many attorney and law firms as clients that they came out with a whole suite specifically to address that. So certainly any law firm has to be AI forward, just because if you're not doing it, the attorneys that you're going up against in court will be.
That's right.
And so it's just necessary. From our perspective, I'm going to say that we started with AI just with a chat GPT and really more of a branding perspective. Christina has a very strong voice. She is an advocate for her clients. She's mission driven and just really a force to be reckoned with. It's an honor for me to work for her. And her voice was very strong. So she wanted all communications coming from our firm in that voice that is very plain spoken, simple to understand, caring, compassionate, and also strong and willing to fight and advocate for our clients. And so the first thing we did was uh, took all of her emails to clients, put it into ChatGPT, and came up with a Christina voice. So that has been something that was very effective. What we have found though is after using it for some time, the model degrades. So it's something that either has to be refreshed or, um, that's just something that we found in from a ChatGPT perspective. Most recently, within the last maybe month, we have transitioned to Claude. And Claude is really just a game changer because it goes from just a large language model that is helping you write faster and better to actually being able to do tasks, to create agents, to create. So we have all kinds of, and like I said, it's only been 4 weeks and it's a non-technical team. But really, in 4 weeks, we've unleashed the team, and many of the attorneys and paralegals have created their own AI agents for doing specific tasks, as I have done from a financial perspective as well.
Yes, it's. I've talked about this a bit on here. When it comes to to agents, Claude is definitely the smartest right now. Uh,
Hmm.
Gemini kind of still has it when it comes to research, but for agents, Anthropic has really pulled out ahead for
Hmm.
sure. So you're using primarily the kind of the publicly available LLMs. Are you using are you using it for any other specific like operational tasks within the firm at this point?
When you say it, I mean, we have certain people, like I use Lindy for an executive assistant. I think we've got some homegrown Claude primarily, executive assistants as well. So that read your email, prepare you for meetings, um, help to set your week, your day. I get a text every morning that tells me what my schedule is, who am I meeting with. So those kinds of things have been very effective.
Great. Um, what do you foresee in terms of the immediate future, say like 5 years out? I know everybody's always a little reticent to say for
Well,
sure
5 years
because
out is a different world. 18
yes,
months is the future. After 18
I
months,
know
it's all
it
bets are
moves
off.
so fast.
Elon Musk says that after 18, that in 5 years, no one's even going to be using currency. So,
Yeah, you're right.
you know,
Um, but specifically in the legal domain, where do you see things where they're moving right now so fast? Where do you see things looking in some ways maybe the same versus things that you think will be transformed radically?
yeah. So what I see as the same is the strategy, the human strategy for how to best advocate for clients. What is the right angle? What is the strength of the case? What are the facts? And how to present the facts to a jury in a way that will encourage the jury to provide the highest um, recovery for our clients, right? So I see from a strategic perspective, the attorney there. From a research perspective, from um, video, we haven't started doing video yet, but using video as evidence in a trial and getting the clips, the stenographers. Stenographers are one of our highest case expenses. And having stenographers, which up to now, I believe the law still requires a human stenographer. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes. Uh, but then having AI assisted video clipping, AI assisted presentations, AI assisted uh, artifacts put together for our cases is going to be a game changer. And the other thing that we're seeing is how to create the opposing counsel point of view. So, we're running our cases through AI and then asking, okay, what's the opposing counsel's point of view, and how can we use that to strengthen our case and to make sure that we have all of our bases covered.
Very powerful.
Mhm.
Um, so I'll turn over a little bit more to your firm when it comes to. I mean, obviously, you said like you've got tremendous amount of passion driven by your founder.
Mhm.
What else would you say that you do at Just Well Law, like just extraordinarily well, that sets you apart from others that are in your same area?
We care for our clients. Every client receives a phone call. Our intake calls are handled. Um, Almost all of our, or let me just say, a lot of our employees were past clients that because they saw the care that Just Well Law had with them, they were so passionate about the mission. They wanted to help others that had gone through the same thing. So now they're working for us. They're taking those intake calls. Our intake calls sometimes take an hour, 2 hours, where we're just listening to the people. My baby's sick. My husband's sick. And that takes time. So the amount of time that we spend with our clients, providing them the resources they need, um, referrals to doctors that understand the toxins and how to get better and how to heal. Some of our best reviews have been from potential clients that we actually could not represent because we're in the position that we can't represent all of the clients that would like representation. We just don't have the bandwidth. And but because of the care that we show, even potential clients who don't become our clients, those are some of the best reviews that we've gotten.
Absolutely. I was going to say that's a pretty remarkable metric there that you when like everybody can say, oh, we care, but the testament to that is the fact that you've got like, oh, past clients have now become employees here. That's
Absolutely.
pretty remarkable. What would you say is one of your proudest moments since your tenure at the company for an outcome you've gotten for a client?
So again, I'm relatively new to the company and I'm not client facing in my role. Having said that, I mean, we just and again, I'm not an attorney. I'm sorry, I'm not an attorney. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say either. I think the proudest moment is when we recover for our clients. Our clients have to leave their homes. They have to burn their furniture, get rid of their clothes. They're, mold infested and start over. And so when we're able to recover for clients so that they can start their recovery from a health perspective, not only financially, but also from a health perspective, that is, just something that we can all just feel so proud about.
Fantastic. In terms of growth, what stage of growth are you in right now? And what are you looking to target for the next 12 months or so?
Okay, yeah. So we're an early stage company started by a solo. Christina was a solo practitioner with a paralegal, and we passed the 3 year mark. So that's incredible. And so now we're in our fourth year. We are continuing to grow, and we really think that there is growth opportunities. We don't. All of our growth so far has been organic, word of mouth. And so we really think that this is an issue that we're seeing really within the state of Texas as well as nationally. And Christina certainly has, Just Well Law has a presence nationally as being an expert in this field. We have a collaborative that we host once a year. It's coming up in October, a safe housing collaborative where we bring uh, attorneys from around the country. We like to partner with different attorneys. And so not only attorneys from around the country, but also mold inspectors, doctors. And we have a 2 day safe housing collaborative where we talk about best practices and build this network so that we can advocate for our clients.
Great. If you could wave a hypothetical magic wand and fix one challenge to growth or operations, anything you can think of in the business, anything that might be slowing you down, what would that be?
Growth in the business, our litigation is pretty long, so anywhere from 2 to 4 years. And so I think that we are getting new clients now, but it's really not for, 2 to 3 years that we don't see the conclusion of those cases. And a lot of that is beyond our control. But what we're trying to do is really to analyze our case phases and see how we can, save 2 days in this phase, save a week in that phase, so that we can shorten those case cycle times. So that's certainly from a growth, just from a business perspective. And then we are considering now starting to do advertising so that we are getting the word out. Texas is a huge state, and we're really looking at now going beyond just our local area.
Fantastic. And Carmen, where I like to always wrap is, after we've talked about business and tech and your particular field with personal injury, I always like to end on the human note. What would you say for you personally is your big why for what you do every day?
Yeah, the big why for me is seeing the clients are so feel heard and seen, even whether they're success and the majority are successful. But on the rare occasion that the client wasn't successful or maybe didn't get as much as they expected, they still feel proud of themselves because they stood up to the institutions that belittled them. And so for me, that's my why is how do we help these sick clients just feel heard and seen and help to bring them and their family recovery, both from a financial perspective as well as a health perspective.
Fantastic. What's the best way for people looking for more information about what you do and representation? What's the best way for them to reach you?
Sure. So the best way is just to go on our website. We are Just Well Law. We practice in the state of Texas and have partners throughout the country. Our clients are primarily people that are in housing, like housing developments, dorms, um, that they've complained about mold multiple times, and their landlords have ignored them. And so if they go to the Just Well Law website, which is Well Law, then they'll be able to find information. There's a form there, and we'll have a person call them immediately.
Okay, fantastic. I'll make sure to put that link in the description as well once we go
Okay,
live. Okay, so
great.
thanks so much for joining today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. It was great talking to you.
You too. Take care.